Jerry Mason, Kickin lawyer. All right, so what happens after you're arrested? So once the cuffs go on you, well, I guess you go through sort of the steps that would happen. First, you're most likely going to be transported to jail, all right? Jail or some detention center. Now, depending on the court you're in, the state you're in, there are different rules on when you will get to see a magistrate or a judge. We used to have a rule back in the day because one of these small communities we have only had one judge, and if you got arrested on like a holiday weekend, good luck, because you're going to sit there probably with no bond until Monday morning at best. Not necessarily legal, but it was just the nature of how it went because of how small the system was in the area. Typically, you're going to be arraigned within 48 hours, and at the arraignment, you're told the formal charges, so that's actually the time when you are informed of the actual charges against you. Now, a lot of people think you're entitled to know that in jail, and they'll usually tell you, but sometimes those adjust depending on when a prosecutor might review them, or the cops might even review it differently before they actually file the charging documents. So on arraignment, you get arraigned on, which is telling you what your charges are, and typically the judge will either set a bond or not. So let's say you're out on bond and you do something else shady, allegedly, the judge is less likely to set you a bond. They may say no bond when you come in, and they can do that because you're out on bond when these allegations occurred. And then once you have a bond, you can bond out. So you go through a bonding agency. In our local area, most of these bonding agencies require 10% down on a bond. So if your bond's $1,000, you kind of pay $100, and I think there's a $37.50 processing fee. So somebody pay $137.50, you get a bondsman sign off on it, maybe give them some kind of collateral. You get out, and you're out pending the next court date. And then typically your next court date is going to be an attorney report date if you don't have an attorney. That's at least the way the local courts go. And then you go through the process depending on which court you're in, which I've detailed in other videos on what the next steps are once you're out to fight the case. The biggest thing I would say, though, is if you are arrested, shut up. Number one rule, if you don't remember anything else I'm saying, you don't need to talk to cops, you don't talk to detectives, you don't talk to anybody until you have an attorney present.